If you're so scared of judgment from others and that's why you don't want to start YouTube, Instagram, any social media, TikTok now, I think you need to look in the mirror and not judge yourself so harshly, because that's why you're so afraid of the judgment of others, you know? And you need to not judge others too.
All right, hello. Welcome to the first episode of the podcast. I'm here today with Jade. We met through friends at a festival last year. Was it 2 years ago, something like that?
I think it was 2018.
Yeah, a couple years ago. Music festival culture is super awesome and loving, and you meet so many cool people like Jade. And so today we're gonna talk about something that she's been wondering. She's been wondering how to grow on YouTube a little bit. And so I was gonna tell her about that, but then I decided, you know what, why don't we just do this in a podcast form? Because I know that whatever I'm gonna say, I'm sure is gonna provide value not only to her, but hopefully other people. And then also she has a fitness page, well, not fitness, more like wellness, health page on Instagram that she only started a few months ago and already has over 1,000 followers, which is pretty awesome. So she's gonna talk a little bit about growing on Instagram. So without further ado, Jade.
Hello. My name is Jade. So like Michael said, me and him met EDC Orlando. Yes, it was. And yeah, we've just been friends ever since. To background because of my accent. I'm from the UK. I was an international student in America. But I'm back in the UK now. And I was actually based in Tampa and Michael in Orlando. And whenever he'd come to Tampa, I'd get to see him, we'd go to festivals together or events. I think the last one we did was Dumont, like the day before my graduation. It was like the night, I swear, before my graduation. That was so much fun. We've just been speaking ever since and supporting each other in developing content that we want to, and just kind of seeing how each other are growing. And I think we're coming at it from quite different directions, and just helping and feeding and growing each other always invaluable. So yeah, absolutely. All right, so what do you want to do you want to start off first, or should I talk a little bit about YouTube? What do you prefer? I do YouTube first.
YouTube first? Okay. So I don't even really know where to start. I took a bunch of notes of all the different points I wanted to make, but I don't really have a good chronological way of explaining them, so I'm going to just go through some of these. First of all, one thing I've been learning a lot recently is that it's so important to have a story of some sort. Every video needs to have a story, because all my videos are really just explaining either 5 tips to help you do this, or this is the one thing you should be doing to do this better or whatever. And that stuff is good, but it's once you get a minute or two into it, you kind of get the idea of it, and it's really easy to get kind of bored and just leave, which is something that I find it's sometimes hard to keep that audience engaged. But when I've had a couple videos, the one that comes to mind first is the one where I did a Randonautica thing. That's this app where you just it tells you a random location where the points are somehow generated based on your thoughts, apparently. And so you're supposed to see whatever you were thinking about when you go to that location. And so I tried it, and I went to 8 different locations, and it was just this whole thing. And that had incredible watch time. It was a 17-minute video, which is way longer than usual. And it had 9 minutes average watch time or something, which is crazy. All my other videos are usually 2, 3, or 4, if they're a 5 to 10 minute video. So story is so important, because it's just natural that humans, once we start hearing a story, we want to hear the end of it. And so that's so hugely awesome. Someone else who does this great, obviously, is Casey Neistat, however you say it, that super famous vlogger. I've watched a few of his videos, and it's just crazy. He just gets you sucked in, even though it seems there's nothing really going on. He somehow makes his day into such a story. So that's definitely the first big tip I can think of, is have some sort of story and learn storytelling to some extent. That's something I'm learning about now, really. That's something it took me a year to realize.
Storytelling's so powerful, right? Because it helps people to relate. And that's the best way you can get people to watch what you're doing. If they can relate, then they want to see it,
Yep, the relatability is huge too. So and then to get a little bit more technical, a really good technique that I used in the beginning to get the early subscribers is basically you subscribe to a bunch of channels that are similar niche as you, but obviously a little bit bigger, and then you enable the post notifications or whatever. So as soon as they release a video, you get a notification. And then if you're kind of on top of it and you see on your computer or your phone that they just posted a video, you immediately go to it, comment something relevant that provides value, and maybe even hint at the fact that you just started a channel, and then like it yourself. And then also, if you have a couple other YouTube accounts, go ahead and like your own comment a couple times, and then that'll send it towards the top, so then more people see it. And then once they see it, more people will like it, sending it more to the top. And some of those people will be curious and maybe go to your channel and subscribe. I've gotten like half my subscribers that way so far, because I'd say usually you can get like 2 or 3 subscribers every time you do that, but I've had like 2 or 3 times where I got like 40 or 50 subscribers in a day just from doing that, which was pretty crazy. And then other times you'll leave a great comment with like 1,000 likes and then you don't get any subscribers from it. But the other good thing about that technique is that it starts to make you a part of the community. That's something that's huge. I've heard like Gary Vee talk about this. Like, you don't just want to kind of be on your own. Like, you want to get yourself involved in the community of your niche. And so that's kind of what I started doing. Like, when you look at these personal development videos, like I comment on a bunch of them. You might even see some of my comments on some people's pages. And then there are also other people doing the exact same thing. Like, there's times when I go to comment, someone else is also commenting, because it's just like a great way to become part of the community and find early relevant subscribers, which is super important. Having your subscribers be kind of relevant, because I hear this stuff like sub for sub or whatever, like if you sub to me, I'll sub to you sort of thing. And I think that is just like horrible, because like it just shows that you have no interest whatsoever in their content and you're only just doing it for the one subscriber, but they're not even going to end up engaging with your content, so they're kind of like useless. So that's important.
And you want that engagement.
Yes, you need like engaged, relevant subscribers. And so I feel like I've been talking a lot, and that's a great way to transition into something that you were talking about before this, how engagement is hugely important on Instagram. So do you want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I think that when you look at, say, my account, for example, I have great engagement. I have like nowhere near where I want to be, but I'm very happy with obviously what I have so far. I think I have like close to 1,200 followers at the moment, but you know, sometimes getting 100 comments on my posts. So yeah, I would say the engagement's really, really, really important. And like you said, it's about building up the community. And 2 parts to engagement. It does work with the algorithm and get up people's feeds, but also at the same time it's building that community, because without the community you don't really have like anything. Like, you see some of these pages where they like have like 3 million followers, but they've got like 900 likes, and it's like you can tell they're all bots, or they're not real, they're not legit, you know. And I think people underestimate the power of, it's not how many people follow you, it's who is in that. You can have 30,000 followers, be a micro-influencer, and somebody can have 3 million, and you could still be making a way more than somebody who with 3 million has.
Yeah.
If you're telling the right story, like you said, and people believe and trust in you and trust you, and whatever you're offering, then that's more than somebody who's, you know, in the millions, but they don't really know what they're doing or where they're going with their account. You know, you need to be, if you want to, fair enough, like completely, if you want to just use Instagram for fun, as most people do, great.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to monetize it, you need to have a plan. You can't really just let it run its course, you know? So yeah, I would say building the trust is really important. I would say like a tip of mine would be with that, reply to every comment.
Yeah.
Like these people who have accounts and, they think they're like kind of, I wouldn't say better than, but they think that, you know, they don't need to reply because they're kind of like above replying to their people who, you know, oh, you're like, oh, like whatever, oh, like I literally like, I think you're like so pretty, whatever, and they're like, teehee, like, oh yeah, and if they won't reply, like that's not engagement, you know what I mean? That's not appreciating people, in my opinion. So I appreciate each and every person who follows me completely and who takes the time to leave a comment, you know. So I think replying to every comment you can. Obviously there's some I don't. If somebody just comments like an emoji, then it's like,
okay,
thank you, like love you, but
thing too.
Yeah, but if people have genuinely taken the time to read through what you've written or swipe through your post or whatever, then, you know. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and I actually, that's probably one of my favorite parts, honestly, about YouTube is like, unfortunately, I'm only getting like a few comments a day, and it's like, I really like responding to those few comments, but like, I can't imagine what it'll be like to have like so many comments a day that I can't even respond to all of them, and like that'll just be pretty awesome. Like I feel like I'll end up needing to manage my time and like limit myself to only like 30 minutes or something for that, or else I'd just do it all day. Because one of my favorite parts about YouTube is connecting with the people that I'm meeting, which is also a huge reason of why I wanted to start this little podcast, because this is a great way to connect with other people like you who are already my friends, but then also people who are just total like random subscribers, like strangers that I've never met before, and hear just a totally different perspective on things. And I don't know, it's just gonna be really cool to connect with people. So I just totally got off topic and started plugging my own podcast. But yeah. So the other question for you that I wanted to ask was, talk a little bit more about your account, like what you talk about, because all I said in the introduction is that you have like a health and wellness type of account, which doesn't really do it much justice. So why did you start it, and what are your goals with it?
The reason I started it was because it's always been a huge interest of mine. I mean, it kind of starts from probably when I was about 15 and I broke my back I used to race competitive motocross from when I was younger, and then I got some injuries along the way and I had to stop. But so when I was 15 I broke my back and I decided to go vegan around that time. I've been vegan for almost 10 years now, and I just never went back. It was, the reasons I did it was because I was out because of the injury, and I just didn't need to be as athletic and muscly as I was anymore. Like I didn't need to be carrying that kind of muscle on me at 15 years old, and I knew it. And I will admit that it was for quite surface level reasons why I first did it. But now, like, it was like 6 months went by and I was like, you know what? This is so much better on my stomach. I feel so much better. I have so much more energy. And I just never went back. And I've been vegan for almost 10 years now. And so that's always been like a huge interest of mine from when I decided to change diets. And before that, by the way, I literally would eat like 3 steaks a day. I remember after my motocross races in France, right, we'd literally go to McDonald's, sorry. After the races, after practice, I'd order like 3 cheeseburgers and just eat all the meat. I honestly ate so much meat, so much dairy. And I made that big lifestyle switch, and obviously it made such a difference to me. And then I came to college. I kind of obviously wasn't focused on that. I was just studying for my degree, trying to have a good time in America, trying to like have the full experience. And then I graduated, I got home and I was like, fuck, what now? Came into one office job, as people just do, and I hated it. I really hated it, but I knew that I needed to do something else, and I knew I had to probably keep those jobs and kind of work on the side to get to where I want to be. And I knew my interest had always been in eating well and in fitness as well, and it's changed throughout the years, because my fitness originally, like I said, was to be an athlete and to be strong. And then when I broke my back and I had to change my diet and I had to mend myself, I started doing Pilates to strengthen my back again. And that's how I found like Pilates and yoga. And then I fell out of it for a bit while I was in college, you know how it is and stuff. And then I started doing it again really a lot in my last year of college. And so onto like that side of it, that was the fitness side. And so it's it's an all-round wellness holistic thing for me as well, because I also recently got diagnosed with ADHD, and my whole life makes sense now, and I just wish I'd have had that sooner, and it just I would have done so much better in college, just in everything. And it really emphasized to me how much you need to tap into your mental health as well. And they're also intrinsically linked, And so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to start a page, because I have a wealth of knowledge about it from my experiences. So why not help other people? And it's just kind of grown to what it is now. So, yeah,
that's pretty much exactly why I started. Obviously, just a different, niche. I mean, I was the same way. It's like I just was spending so much time on like reading and watching videos and learning about life and the world and everything. And I was just like, on one side, I felt a little like I was too young to like be offering advice to other people. But then on the other hand, it was like, but I don't know that many people that spend nearly as much time consciously working on this sort of stuff. So like, I do feel like I can talk about it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I just started because like I knew like I know so much about this and I want to help other people because it's helped me a lot. So yeah.
I'm curious because mine definitely has your channel, your vision, has it kind of changed direction a lot from when you first started it because you just learned new things and you've decided you're good at some things and you're not so good at some things and what you want out of it has changed?
Yeah, like the path of my channel has looked like a roller coaster pretty much. Like the first maybe 10 videos or so, because there was a couple weeks where I just wanted to make videos about any topic in any style, just anything, basically like daily vlogging almost for 5 days a week for two weeks, just to like get used to it. And then, so that was on random topics. And then I finally decided, okay, I want to help people. That's always been like the goal. And so I wanted to find a more specific niche because that's something else that they tell you when you're starting a YouTube channel is try to be as specific as possible as you can with your niche and become like an expert in that little area. And then from there, you can maybe like expand a little bit. But yeah, so I just decided to find kind of a problem that I felt like I was good at, like figuring out or whatever that would be like easier to resonate with than just like personal development or something like become better. And so what I originally settled on was like overcoming social anxiety because I used to be like super shy. And then it was only the last like, I don't know, it was like the last couple of years of college is when I really started like going out and talking to people and being a little bit more comfortable with that. Because before it was like I was always like to myself a lot more. Which I still do need a lot of alone time and stuff, but like, but I can at least talk to people now. But anyway, so yeah, I spent like, I don't know how many months, 4, 5 months making videos on that 2 to 3 times a week. So I have like 40 videos on that topic. And then it was right around New Year's this past year when I decided to kind of rebrand because I was starting to realize that like I wasn't super passionate about talking about social anxiety. Like I was pretty good at it and I liked being able to help people, but it just wasn't like what makes me want to get out of bed in the morning. And it was also that so many of my videos, the stuff I was talking about applied to way more people than just those with social anxiety. And so I felt like I was just immediately shutting out like 90% of my potential audience by just being like, this channel is for people with social anxiety. And then people are like, oh, okay, then I don't need that. When in reality, what I was talking about totally could have helped just about anyone. And so I wanted to make it a little more broad. And so that's why I just made it about like confidence, productivity, and happiness. I settled on 3 kind of pillars, I guess you could say. It's good to have something kind of specific like that. Even though those are really general terms, but at least people know what they're in for. But with that being said, I'm actually considering a new kind of rebranding because my channel changes directions with my mental, like what I'm going through, what I'm learning, and my path of like enlightenment or whatever, if you want to call it that. And something I'm realizing recently is like telling others what to do is kind of like a little conceited. This all started with listening to some Alan Watts. He is my absolute
the man.
I love him. And
the king.
Yeah, and he was just talking about like, I think he said like, kindly let me help you or you'll drown, said the monkey raising the fish like safely up in the tree or something like that. Like basically he's just saying like, we try to help other people totally based on our own perspective, our own life or whatever, when in reality that might not actually be that helpful for them. And it's just full of conceit because you're like saying like, oh, like I need to help you because I'm in a better position than you or something like that. And then not only that, but then even wanting to make yourself better is kind of conceited because you're assuming that you know what's good for yourself. But if you really knew what was good for yourself, you'd already be better or something. So it's like he just like makes you question everything you've ever thought, which is why I talk so much about Alan Watts stuff on my channel because it's super powerful. But with that being said, I think my new brand is going to be a little bit more like me just sharing my story a little bit more so than like being like, oh, you should be doing this because your life will be better. Like I've started to realize that that's not really, it doesn't really resonate that well with people. And it's like, like I said, a little bit like conceited to just assume that they need this technique in their life or something. So, and then I noticed also for myself that when I was too hard on myself, like, oh, I should be meditating every day or something, but I'm not. It would like make me sad because I'm like, oh man, like I'd feel guilty. I'm like, oh, I didn't meditate today. Like, damn, what's wrong with me? And then it's like literally these things that are supposed to make my life better were making my life worse. And so I was just like, okay, I need to like relax a little. But anyway, I really don't even know where I was going with that. I guess, oh yeah, you said has my channel changed directions? So that was the long answer. The short answer is hell yes.
And I think that's important for people to remember as well, you know, and I think that kind of leads to a good point of there always being an excuse that you're not ready to start, or, you know, you need this or you need that or whatever to start because this isn't right or that isn't right. It's never right. It's never whatever. You could have the most perfect business plan for your social media in the world. You could have been cultivating it for 3 years, have like 100,000 subscribers, and probably in 3 months what you're going to want to do is change. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter on your subscriber amount, it doesn't matter on your equipment, it doesn't matter on what you think people want them, like the market will decide. And as long as you're bringing value and I think your like ambition is right and is you and sits well with you, then there's no reason not to start, because it's going to change inevitably, you know? Yeah,
I heard recently someone talking about the concept of massive imperfect action, which I think is really cool. Because like a lot of people say to take massive action or something, but then you get a little bit worried. You're like, oh, but I don't know if it's right, if I should be doing something else or whatever. But when you just know and can accept that it's going to be massive imperfect action, then it's like, that just helps you just go out and do it. Because you know that even if it's not exactly what you could have done to totally optimize your path or whatever, it's still going to be helpful in the end. And so that's pretty cool. But yeah, actually, going right off of that point, something else that I was going to talk about is that YouTube, it's so important that you have kind of passion for it. And that's part of why my channel has changed directions so much, is because I've been trying to determine what it is that I really like to talk about, or what style of video I like to put together, stuff like that. And because like I think if you're doing something that you're not really that passionate about, like you'll never really stick to it, no matter how much you like that idea of the end result. You have to just always be trying to follow your passion and figure out exactly what it is that you want to make videos about and how, or else you'll be like kind of screwed. Because like I've had days where I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I have to film a video today, and it's like a drag. And then I've had other days where I'm like, oh, like I'm really excited to make this video. And so you definitely want it to be the latter.
And what advice would you having, you know, I've read them too, but I feel like you probably read more than me, reading kind of a lot of the self-help stuff you have, if somebody doesn't know what their passion is, how would you suggest that people find it?
Yeah, so for finding your passion, like one of the best things that I kind of came up with on my own was something where it wasn't even like I just sat down to make this video and tried to come up with something. It was actually like a list that I had been like compiling for months or something with no intention of making a video about it. But then I realized it was so valuable that I had to. And it was basically just a list of these statements that are like, do more of whatever. And I think those really lead you to your passion, because it was like stuff like do more of what makes you not check your phone, or do more of what makes you forget to eat, or like things like that, like where you just get so like absorbed in something and you don't even realize that like 3 hours has just passed by, you haven't checked your phone, you forgot to like eat, like all that type of stuff. I think that's like a really good indicator of if you're doing something that you're passionate about or not. Because if you're getting really distracted every 5 minutes just checking your phone, like whatever, then you're probably not really invested in that like activity too much.
Have you ever used Have you ever used the Ikigai diagram?
Yeah, I have. And actually recently I just realized that that's actually kind of a misconception in a way. So I found out that it's a combination of two things. There was this guy that wrote a whole blog about it on Medium or something.
There's a really good selling book, Ikigai.
Really? Because
it's a top selling book.
Mm-hmm. Because this guy that wrote the blog post about it, he's apparently like an Ikigai expert or something like that. And it's actually like a Japanese concept. And the whole like diagram, that 4-way Venn diagram thing, actually came from some book written by a guy from, I think, South America. I forget what country. And it was about obviously finding your purpose and stuff like that. But it had nothing to do with the term Ikigai. And then there was just some guy that came along that like realized like he just kind of wanted to combine the two. It sounded really good and stuff. And he put it in like a, I don't know, a blog post or something like that, an article on the internet that kind of went viral. And then everyone started talking about how like, oh, this is Ikigai, whatever. And in reality, this guy is saying like, that's not really Ikigai. Like it's a great model, but it came from a totally different book, never had anything to do with Ikigai. And some guy came around and just merged the two together. But nonetheless, I do really like that model. That is really cool. I'll just try to get through these last few points, and then you can also say whatever you have left. So let's see.
How are you going to finish it? How are you going to finish it so you don't stumble?
Oh, I already thought of that actually.
You thought of the end and not the beginning.
Yeah, I know.
I'm dead. Stop it. Okay, go.
Anyway, so let's see. I've already talked about story, talked about passion, talked about that early subscriber technique and being part of the community. And then two other things that are a little more technical are I've heard in one or two videos, and also from my own experience, I've found this to be kind of true. It's good to try to get some videos that rank well in search before you start trying to get videos that get you recommended on like the homepage. And like the difference between those really is that search-based videos, I feel like they'll, right out of the gate within the first week or so, they'll start ranking if it's, I don't know, if the algorithm likes it, I guess. Well, I say that if the algorithm likes it, but the algorithm is based off of what people are doing. So if the people like it, then the algorithm will surface it to more people, obviously. I don't want to sound like one of those cynical, like, oh, the algorithm doesn't like me people.
It's still the algorithm's fault.
Because the algorithm just follows the people's behavior. So anyway, yeah. So then the search videos, what they'll do is they'll be constantly like getting you views every single day and subscribers, which is super helpful for the beginning. And I think it also, when you look up a topic in YouTube, there's a very good chance that in the first 5 or 10 videos that you see, there will be people with like 500 or 1,000 subscribers or whatever. Of course, it depends on the topic. Like if you look up like news or something like that, obviously it's going to be like all the main channels and stuff. But if it's like a little bit more of a niche down topic, like you'll see people with like 100 subscribers up there ranked in search. And so it's a lot easier for smaller creators to get there than it is to get recommended on the homepage. I don't know if I've ever seen a video recommended to me by someone that has less than like 10 or 20 or 50,000 subscribers. Like it just, I don't know why, it just doesn't happen. Anytime I click on something from the homepage, it's someone with like 100,000, 1 million subscribers or something like that. So I think in the beginning, it's really important to try to focus on those search videos because you're a lot more likely to get those. I don't even know like in what instances YouTube recommends videos from people with like less than 1,000 subscribers or 10,000 even. So that's another big thing. And then off of that same topic, I was going to talk about the difference between timeless and time-sensitive videos. Pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Time-sensitive videos are the ones where it's like if you're talking about a current event, like when Kobe passed away earlier this year, for example, if you made a video about that, a lot of people are going to be really interested for those first couple days, but then probably a year after that, no one's really going to be looking up videos about that, you know? So just be mindful when you're making a video of whether or not it's going to be time sensitive or timeless, which timeless obviously would be more like a tutorial on how to do something. Like the other day, I just watched a really good tutorial of how to do color grading in Premiere Pro, the video editing software. And it was from like 3 years ago, and it still has like tons of views because it's like a timeless video that until Adobe updates their thing in such a way that it just doesn't even look the same, which I don't really think is going to happen, then that video still can provide value for people like me 3 years later. So, and then obviously those timeless videos are the ones that are going to be better for search, usually. Because like for me, for example, my video that I have that's close to like 30,000 views now on RSD, that's not like something really that's in the news or like a trend. It's something that some people kind of know about and are always looking up. There's always someone trying to learn about them for some reason, whether they found it through YouTube or somewhere else. So yeah, those are kind of the last points that I could think of that I was going to mention. So I hope you've gotten value out of those. And if you have any more questions, let me know. And if not, do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about related to Instagram?
No, not. I think kind of what I said before covers most of it. I think, like you said, you have to really be starting it for the right reasons. If you're starting it just to monetize it, you're not gonna stick at it. You really won't. If it's not something you care about, you're not gonna be able to build a community effectively, because you're not gonna want to reply to people asking you things. You're like, I don't know, I just want it for money, you know what I mean? So I would say, if you're going to start an account, and I would also say something that I think is said a lot, I get it, but I think it's wrong, is that Instagram it's too late. It's too late to start an Instagram. It's overly saturated. It's not overly saturated. People just haven't found their right niche. If you're good enough, it's just like the business world. If you're good enough, like, you'll make it. Like, for example, like McDonald's, there were a lot of hamburger restaurants and joints before, is it Ray Kroc, I think, came in and started. But he just knew how to do it. He just did it fucking efficiently. If the burger, I think it's like, if the burger wasn't sold in 6 minutes, it was in the bin. And he just had a system. And he did it the right way. Same with Henry Ford. There were cars before Henry Ford, but he just did it in a way where the company was so successful because he knew what he wanted to do and he served the market. So, yes, there are a ton of influence out there right now. But if you go in with the right intentions and not just to, you know, for like an ego boost so you can get more likes or whatever, or show off, you know, like your expensive things, you will be successful because the market will recognize that. So I'd say that is my number one tip if you're scared to get started. Because I used to look up on how to start Instagram videos all the time, and it never really said anything. It would just kind of be people being like, oh, you know, do this, do that, do this, do that. But it never really addressed the fear side of it. And I think that is the main reason why, you know, people don't start. And there is no fear. And also the judgment from others. If you're so scared of judgment from others, and that's why you don't want to start YouTube, Instagram, any social media, TikTok now, I think you need to look in the mirror and not judge yourself so harshly, because that's why you're so afraid of the judgment of others, you know? And you need to not judge others too. I think that is a starting point. If you're too scared to start it, then you need to look in the mirror and do some work. Don't be scared of... people are going to talk shit about you, whether you're successful, whether you're unsuccessful.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
it happens.
You'll never win.
Yeah, and that's a
So
good... Honestly, I kind of like it. Like, I've started to get some, like, comments, mostly from that video with, like, 30,000 views and probably, like, 300 or 400 comments by now. Oh, my God, that one is really polarizing. Like, some people... I recently saw one that was like, it was like, this video isn't even... like bad, it's completely useless bullshit or something. I was just like, all right, well, sorry. Glad you liked it.
And everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's not a reflection of you.
And I feel like if everyone likes what you're doing, then it's just not. I don't even think that's possible. Like, there's never. You always see these videos, even if they have like 100,000 likes. There's still a few thousand people that disliked it for some reason. Like, I don't know. You're gonna have haters, you know. I feel like it's just a sign that you're getting bigger when you have people that are like saying stuff like that to you. Because in the very beginning, everyone's super nice most of the time. But yeah, as you get forward, every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success. So that's very true. Good words of wisdom. All right. Well, I guess that pretty much wraps it up then. What we're gonna talk about. Cool. Well, then, thank you so much for being the first guest on this little podcast. And I hope to have you back again, not just to talk about Instagram and YouTube and stuff, but what we talked about the other day, because I mentioned how my channel is pretty much all self-help type of stuff and how to be better, I guess, or more enlightened, or whatever you want to call it. And it sounds like you're pretty interested in that stuff too. You just read the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, or whatever it was called, 7 Laws of Spiritual, I don't know. So clearly you're interested in that stuff, and I am too, so I'd like to dig deeper into that one day, hopefully. And anyway, for anyone else who wants to be on the show, be sure to fill out that form in the description, because that's how you're going to be randomly selected, is if you fill that out. And it's time to announce who the next winner is, which I have already randomly generated, and it is Nostalgic Nathan. So I'll be sending you an email soon so that you can so that we can connect and actually start this whole conversation and figure out what we want to talk about. So if you're not Nathan and you didn't just get the chance to be on the podcast, of course you can go ahead and sign up and you'll have another chance. But also, if you want conversations with me guaranteed, then you can sign up on my Patreon page for one-on-one coaching either once a week or once a month. And so with that being said, again, thank you Jade for coming, and thank you everybody for watching. And I think that's about it.
Thank you.
Peace.